everyone, it's Adrian Leah. I wanted to do another reading, so I'm going to use some of the decks from the last reading, so the Yokai Tarot and the Kitsune Oracle, and then I have the Ukiyo Tarot. I'll start pulling out the cards. I don't have to sneeze, but my nose is getting itchy, so I feel like someone's talking about me, but it's okay, regardless of what they're saying. Um, I felt like validation when I heard, um, like in a video about having confidence, and I was just like, I feel like I have so much not unnecessary confidence in myself, but I just like wholeheartedly have confidence in myself. Um, and then there's the concept of, I have mentioned this before, like the only competition is yourself, and then as long as you're like the best version of yourself, um, you're just the best, and um, that's like the type of confidence that I have um, when I walk into the room. I say it pretty frequently in my head. Um, you're perfect in every way, shape, and form. And some people might be like, "That's so much," and I'm like, "This is, I feel, for me." And some people might say otherwise. It helps me have like a healthy mindset about myself, and um, I have mentioned it, and I just feel like it's such a fantastic way to just feel self-love and to give back to yourself, because some people might feel like you have to, or society might feel like you have to keep your head down, or you have to go with what other people are doing, and then um, I feel that you do need to be really strong to have and represent your own thoughts and yourself. But I feel like living authentically, it really just, it hits different, because I feel like at the end of the day, you're just like, I made those decisions, and um, there is a sense of accomplishment and happiness that you get from it. Also, like with the Kitsune, um, it's an ancient being in general, but at the same time, like a young Kitsune won't have like all the tails, and they'll gain that over time when going through experience and gaining wisdom. There's like a shyness too, almost. Like, I don't know if you're shy or dealing with somebody that's shy, but to me, it's kind of like surprising too, because with the things that you could do in the world, it's like, I love just seeing what people are interested in, what people are passionate about, and something is just sparks and shines when you do something that you love and you put your heart into it. So it could be a hobby, it could also be like relationships too, but there might be like a situation of maybe finding your voice or trying to be heard or um, vocalizing something if this is like some type of affection. This is maybe something that maybe you're like presenting to somebody or an audience, and this is like your shit, like in the best way, like you know this in out. There's also watching like a video too of how Japan, they really try to like study like cuisine from around the world, and they really just look into it and try to do what they do with it, and it turns out insane. Um, so there could be that type of transformation. I don't know if something's also dormant because like the cards just feel like they don't really want to move, or and if they do want to move, there's something that may be being in their head about it. And I kind of get that too, being a Libra sun, um, and then most of my chart is in Scorpio. So, um, just feeling like something needs to be put out there, initiated. And also, like, you would kind of be surprised of how many people, or like the person that you're presenting it to is actually into the idea. Because there could have been like a period, I'm getting like maybe dry period, where maybe life was giving you time to perfect something or to really look deeply into something. Maybe make it into your own, maybe just make some type of masterpiece with it. That was like the goal of it all. Um, Coming in with something to offer in a way. I mean, there could be a pause of like maybe fatigue too, but I really feel like there could be more words of encouragement that come in the future, and maybe there's like other things behind the scenes that just make it so um, you want to keep going or um, persevere. In one of my college courses, there was one where it's talking about grit, where life just feels like maybe you want to give up, but then there's kind of that light that guides you and just tells you not to and to keep going. There's like not a reason why you should keep going in a way, like when you feel like all hope is lost, but at the same time, not all hope is lost. There's just something about it that just guides you through this part of life. And it's nice, like at the bottom of the deck, already starting off strong. It's the Sun card, arguably one of the best cards in the deck. And you can't go wrong like with whatever direction this is, because I feel like there's some type of like practice that was put in like growing up, and that could be just pushing through things, and that's extremely important, especially in life. There are going to be things that you're not going to want to do, but they're like there to do. Um, I feel like this is a time where you really just things start to cave or even crumble because it's like you've gone through life maybe moving forward and not doing exactly what that you were like hoping to do. I feel like maybe those different skills and that push and that drive to do those things, it comes down to this, where it almost feels like a reward, but it also feels like validation where maybe in the beginning you were wanting to do this and then life happened and there were a bunch of things in the way and some things you loved enough or people that you loved to enough to like push through those barriers, and then now it's like the season is coming, and it kind of reminds me of maybe flowers, like certain flowers, gardenia. And it's interesting with like gardenia, the startup with gardenia is particularly, if you're a seasoned gardener, maybe not, but in general, they say it's like difficult to grow to start off with. I guess once you get it going, it gets a little easier. But they say specifically with the startup of growing that plant. So there could have been like, it was so complex, and maybe different doors had to open and different doors had to close because this dream was so, I was gonna say vivid, so maybe it was so strong that it was like almost grasp, like something that you could grasp or something that was like real, and just a lot of movement and just like um maybe the guides had to like not pull some strings, but they knew how much this meant for you, and even if it was like a dream that seems so big, it's not. Um, so it seems like things are just like coming together, and maybe like at this point you're just seeing more and more signs, and even that you just feel like the guides are kind of like holding the door for you, um, or even like a finish line in a way, even though it's there's different cycles and different seasons. Um, and them trying to like push you to that finish line or that next stage, or hand you the baton to just like um, get to that next place. But when you run a marathon, a lot of things could happen because you could get cramps, you could get dehydrated, you might have to go to the bathroom. There's just like so much stuff. Like a marathon is really hard to run, and it's something that you would preferably want to train for, but it's just such a big accomplishment. And what better person than the person that works so hard to get there? And I love an underdog story because I do feel like there. I'm gonna start turning over the cards because the only one that I see right now is the Sun card, but it just feels like there was so much maybe working overtime and doing this and doing that, and um it was interesting, and like, and it almost gets me emotional because it's almost like there wasn't a complaint to do it because it was for the love of something, something you will know if it's what your dream is. But um it's trying to solidify it in a way to make it more concrete or make it even tangible, because the karmic card of why everything's happening is the Ace of Pentacles. And what we know about Pentacles, if you watch tarot or you do tarot, read tarot, is it's more of like the physicality of things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about money, but it can be. And the startup with Pentacles is difficult because Pentacles move differently from air. It's the opposite element. It moves differently from fire, it moves differently from water. Um, when Earth moves, it doesn't just, it's not usually like a temporary thing. I know like we go through different cycles, but when Earth moves, it's like pretty serious with like that type of move, and it seems like it's more intentional. I'm not saying the other suits aren't intentional, but uh, it doesn't move as freely, for sure. So for some reason, there's like an energy of wanting to have these cards like reversed, but I'm not really feeling like that too. So it's interesting what's going on. Um, because it's kind of feels like the energy of you'll see it when you see it. Like it's not something where maybe it's faith or religion where you just have a certain type of trust in it. It just feels like you'll see it when it's there. As of right now, I'm not like uh I'm not gonna say whether or not it is. You're not gonna get you don't have like the specific confirmation of it, but there's just something in the air that makes it seem so like it's gonna happen. And the cards that I have for the Ukiyo Tarot, the Nine of Cups, and I do love the imagery in the Ukiyo Tarot. I think it's like a combination of like um, Western type of anime in a way, because this is done by an Italian artist. So it kind of looks like anime, kind of looks like a different version of anime in a way. Um, so you have the Nine of Cups, which is telling too. It could be the baby steps that things are like making progress because you seem pretty satisfied with how things are going. And then it might be surprising too because, and with the pentacles there for why everything's happening, it's almost like it's at the doorstep already because you have the Eight of Wands, and that's more of like a faster moving card. So the results are like it just kind of feels like it's basically here. And then the Four of Cups, I feel like this is, even though it's minor arcana, it feels like it influences more than, uh, not more than a minor arcana card, but it does seem to be like one of the main energies of the reading where, um, you don't really want to jinx it or you feel like it's gonna happen, but then you're not trying to be like definitely because you just don't know. Um, and it just feels like that you want it so badly, but in the past, there feels like the Six of Cups is in here, but I mean, it was in the last reading too. Not here, but it was in the last reading, and then it just feels like wanting it so bad, but you've seen so many trial and errors with things, but you just kept going with it, and were still not giving up on the situation, not giving up on yourself. Of course, like you could see the situation for what it is. If you had to move forward in a different direction or move differently, then it would, there's different situations, so you could apply this, but how you feel like it would be applied. But it just seems like not wanting to get your hopes up too much about it, but wanting it so badly that you're like, fuck, I really want this. Um, it could be, in a way, a hidden desire too, because it just feels like something that you want so badly. Um, so with me, I barely turn over the cards. Those are the ones that I turned over so far. This was an extra one, and it's the Fool. So there could be like a come around. This feels like relationship vibes too, where um again, maybe bad experiences or things that happened in previous relationships, and you're like, well, at least I know what I don't want, or I don't want this happening again. But you can't just like block everything or everyone out if your intention is to do this. Um, if it's like a different type of situation where you're trying to achieve something, it kind of feels like maybe um, you tried, maybe me, moving overseas for um, different reasons, and one of them would be something that you would really want to do, and then um, or a job that you've been wanting, and it just um, didn't happen at that time, and then maybe years later it finally does happen. Oh, I didn't take my pharmacy tech certification right away. Um, I was working in pharmacy and then didn't take the test for a while, and then I took a course, and I passed the test, and I was really happy with that. There was just something because like when I moved to this, well, because I helped my parents out, but I moved to this area for the time being, and then there was just something that I was still getting the push to take that exam. Um, and then when I just kept studying and studying and studying, because I was like a job at a job site, and then I was working really hard in school. I there was like a whisper saying, you're going to pass the test. Like I don't know where it came from. It was like 2 weeks before I was taking the exam, and the school was like providing it with the course that was included. So it was just like so much of that hard work, and there was just I remember that whisper being like, you're gonna pass this. So um I didn't want to jinx it. I just kept studying because you never know, because there's different exams that you could take, people with different backgrounds. Some are, they say, easier or harder than others, so there might be help along the way. So there's Call Forth the Waves here for one of the cards. And it could be the guides too, and it could be like, um, I feel like this has a spiritual meaning to it too, because you have the gift of connection, or you know who to connect to, or there's something that's like linking you. And then you have the shadow dancer too, so it feels like there is that type of connection with maybe spirituality, or maybe just like that knowing. And I know not everyone is super religious or like into spirituality, but you could connect it to just something that maybe you have a deep connection to the thing that you're passionate about, or the person that you're really into. And then you have follow the signs. So it just feels like there's such a guidance to this. There, give me 1 second. Um, let's just pause it. And then I'm gonna turn over the other cards. So I feel like there's certain things, specifically with your circle, that you know, there was a confrontation or some things in your environment too that just was for a season. Um, and of course, there could be situations where there are difficult times, but um, not every person is able to pass that or surpass that time. So the two cards that I have for, well, what's on the mind is the Three of Swords. And then you have the underlying card. I like to put these together because it could say more about like your thoughts or why you might have them. Um, is the Three of Cups. So I feel like there's like moving differently or knowing better or even those deep thoughts or like um, it just feels like heavy emotional ties that there could have been someone or like something in the environment that just revealed to you why you won't be able to bring them forward, move them forward in the next stage of life, or um, they did something or said something that just was not up to standard with maybe like what you hold as a friend or something that you would like to have in your life. There's something about like protecting your peace, and it can be costly too, but I feel like the investment is worth it. And I feel like that's like one of the biggest things, like an investment with the Ace of Pentacles, that I feel like if they jeopardize like your peace of mind, because that's what I feel like the Three of Swords is, there's something that just was not right about it. And maybe connecting the dots and making those realizations just put it in the direction that it is. So I don't feel like that's a bad thing because in a world that has so many things going on and it's chaotic as it is, peace can be hard to come by. So I'm definitely for protecting that part of you and protecting yourself in general. I feel like the heart is sacred too, and it does need to be protected because um, there, well, I'm not going to be quoting the Bible, but there is like one where like you protect your heart because everything flows from it type of thing. Um, so it kind of feels like needing to treat yourself better because if you keep letting things in that hurt you, it's just there's different types of levels of effects that it could have and consequences. Um, and I feel like as we get older, for me at least, that you don't have to just go through everything to make sure that it's um, really bad. Like you think of that it's like bad in a way where you don't feel like it's right for you. Maybe like the vibe is enough for you. Like there could be something, and of course, like having information to support it too. But there you don't need to give your time to everything and everyone. That's the thing. Because time is also precious, and of course, you would like to have information to maybe back up how you're feeling or what you're saying, but there could also be that those times you could feel it for what it is of there's something that like might be off about them. So the overall energy that's coming out, this was the last card that came out basically, or the last one of the last two. It was actually with the Four of Wands from the last reading. So this is in the past position, and this is the overall energy. That maybe connecting to things that truly matter to you, and maybe putting down things that, not saying that it's like saying it's not good in general, but the energy that you have right now, it's getting focused on that specific endeavor. And I feel like people do respect that in a way, and they do notice it, because there's consistency and there's like not backing down with it. There's also like boundaries that are kept, because if you choose to just take down your boundaries every 5 seconds for a person that's like, I feel like I need a second chance, or I feel like I deserve to be in your life, and you just give it to them without second thought. When you have the different senses, or maybe even knowing from past experience what has happened, maybe with that specific person, and or even like something that was adjacent. So this could also be choosing yourself too, again with this. Um, but it leads you to things that support you more, or things that are like better suited for your life. So then the present card is the Six of Swords. That's one of the later cards from the last reading. And then the immediate future is the Eight of Cups. So there's like definitely movement out of something. These are both movement cards, linking to people or things that just weren't for you. And I feel like you're gonna get the shift, or like get a sense of the shift. The Six of Cords, cutting cords maybe. Six of Swords right here for the present, and then the Eight of Cups for the immediate future. It just has been so like on point with it, with just like the direction, and um I feel like your mind is moving sooner than maybe your heart is because but I think your heart's going to keep up because it's the six of swords and then the eight for the cups because I feel like your mind saw the betrayal or like rationalized it or not rationalized the betrayal or um the decisions and like put the pieces together and come to terms with it. Um, there's something in the heart that just, especially if it was the Three of Cups, if somebody was close to you, um, just seems that it can be difficult because sometimes, like, especially with your friends or especially with people that, like loved ones, you might let things slide. And I feel as you get older that it doesn't happen as often because what at the end of the day, what's left is you. Like you do this and do that. You might have help here and there, but it was interesting. Like I was reading with the managing emotions and emotional mindset of things with us, like specifically with like Japanese couples. Maybe I don't know if it's like every generation, but the generation that I was seeing, it was like an older generation, and it was saying that like each person manages their own emotions, which makes sense. And sometimes I feel like maybe in Western society, well, here, you notice that like some, not a specific person, but you may notice like some may um, lean more and more and more onto the other person. Like they're supposed to make you feel better, but um, being able to regulate your emotions is something that's really important. So I think that's like one of the takeaways with the Six of Swords, making those decisions for yourself, and then your heart will keep, well, your heart will um, go with those adjustments. It could take time for the healing process, but the environment energy, Major Arcana Emperor, and this just seems like, and Major Arcana Lovers too. This just seems like really taking control over the situation because it's necessary because it's you and it's your life and um this is the path that you choose, this is the thing that you do or things that you do. um this is like definitely initiative type of thing, situation, taking initiative for things. And then the hopes or fears, you have the Queen of Cups. This was in the last reading. There's like a poise that goes with this too. Um, so this is the Queen of Cups, and there's just like a disarray with it. That even if somebody tried to get you down, or even like when they did this or that happened, it was still not making it messy. Like there's something that's like pretty clean about what this is. Even though the situation itself doesn't feel clean, it actually feels like a little like dirty in a sense, like with intentions of like other people. But the way that you carry yourself is just really important for you and for how you represent yourself in the world. And I do feel like it life favors you for that. Then you have the further future as a hermit. So there could be like takeaways. I do feel like there's a lot of wisdom that comes out of it, and For some reason I'm getting like anointing. There's something that like it came down to it too, where um there's a sense of peace and protection from this, knowing that you don't have to have that in your life, knowing that this is not the path that you're choosing because um you guided yourself through this and we were able to put the pieces together and figure things out. You didn't have to rely on another person to dictate what your life should be like for this. So I'll just pull out like maybe a couple more cards and then I'll end the reading. The bottom of the deck is the Ace of Wands. I feel like that goes with the Lover's card. It, I'm getting that being able to go for or focus on things or people that or a person that really matters to you. And again with the marathon, I feel like when it just is there's some type of adversity, like maybe you don't have the right shoes or you might be going through something as you're running that marathon or what have you, you still make it. Another Ace of Pentacles card for double confirmation. So it seems like it was really, you really cemented that idea. And then you even have the Ten of Pentacles here, the Five and Ten of Pentacles. It kind of jumped. Like one day it was like this, and the next day it was like, uh, really a flourishing energy. It's almost like skipping town or leaving and then finding your own type of sanctuary. And then with the Magician, this could, if it feels like a startup energy where you have the skill set and then it's that driving force too. Because I don't feel like the Magician is playing with this. I just feel like it's so heavily invested in it and knowing how to invest and where to invest and who to talk to for this investment. And it does feel like a growth period. I pulled out more cards because like it was an interesting card that I got, Willing Entanglement, for one of them. I did clarify it, but then also I got the Richness Within. That even in those moments where you feel like there's like an entrapment, it's it's like with the Magician and the Richness Within, that you're able to come up with something to get yourself out of the situation. And since the Five of Pentacles was there, it could also be that type of strain. It could be like maybe a financial strain because of what happened, or like some type of strain where it affects you in another way. Um, like if you're separating yourself from maybe a type of colleague of some sort, and now you're stuck with more work, I feel like there's a way to work through that so that you can manage it, but at the same time, not having that reliance on that other person. And then the two cards for the um, to clarify are hope and growth. So more straightforward, and definitely like linking to the Hermit card because now you're able to, now you know how to like basically grow gardenia in a way, in like a symbolic way. And it wasn't easy, but you did learn how to do it, and you're perfecting that skill, and then you're moving forward from it. Like are you going to how are you going to like invest time and then just be focused on the things that matter to you. I feel like that's like one of the main takeaways with the Richness Within. And then the Hermit is kind of like, I feel in a way is laying low until finding that opportunity, like with the Magician. But I feel like that opportunity is um coming along, as I said, with some of the movement cards here that we have in the reading. So there's like the Six of Swords, and then the Eight of Cups, and the Eight of Wands. So 8 and 8. They're all moving pretty quickly, so I feel like the Hermit's gonna be on his or her toes for this, on the things and what to do next, because there's a lot of like mind and physical effort, because Hermit is associated with Virgo, and that being more like an earth sign. So there's, and also linking to the Knight of Pentacles too. So there's that consistency there. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in another video.